Well, thanks, Jane. Golly. My name's Cyndi Masters, and I'm an alcoholic. And it's interesting because when I picked this sentence, Alice had reached out to me. I don't know, Alice, was it been a couple months ago or something? And I do a Tuesday night group with mostly women that I sponsor. And and most of these women have been sober a long time. And I don't know, we went through the big book, and we went through the traditions, and then we went through the traditions and relationships, and we read the golden key. And right now we've been reading the 11th step in the 12 and 12. And this was the paragraph we happened to land on tonight. So sorry, gals, but it's interesting. And I think that this sense of belonging, there's some things that I might even steal that came out of our meeting tonight, but I I said this because even in long-term sobriety, and by the way, my name's Cyndi Masters, I'm an alcoholic, and my sobriety date is December the 17th, 1985, and for that I'm extremely grateful. That's every day in a row, and I am way in the middle of this. And I would say that my relationship with this step has grown so much in the last 5 years. And that's what I love about this continuing to grow along spiritual lines, is that, you know, the channel can get wider. Like, my job is to widen the channel so that I have a better communication with God, the higher power, whatever that you need to call it. I call God God, and that's the word that I'm most comfortable using. But this sense of belonging, you'll hear everybody in AA talk about when they were a kid, never feeling like they fit or they belonged anywhere. One of the things that came up in our meeting tonight was that, you know, I never fit and I never belonged. But what's changed in recovery is that I still often don't fit, but I belong. And so there's a difference in fitting and belonging. It's like fitting, I'm still an odd duck, right? but I belong, and I belong everywhere, not just in AA, not just with you, but I have a sense of belonging. And that happened when I strengthened my relationship with prayer and meditation. So it's that connection that I have, that when we pray and meditate, the way it talks about in the big book and in the 11th step, is we pray for God's will for us, right? The knowledge of his will and the power to carry it out. And the meditation, for me, is just getting still enough and getting my energy below my heart so that when I meditate, I can hear God. Because if I don't meditate and get still enough to get my energy below my heart, there's too much of me. Mm-hmm. And so that's where that stillness. And during COVID, I took up native flute. And those of you that have heard me say this a million times. And that was one of the things that really enhanced my spiritual life, because I got really afraid. I have businesses, and I was afraid I was going to lose them. And I have been locked up and was institutionalized before I got sober. And it felt like I was institutionalized again because I wasn't allowed to leave or do what I wanted to do. And so I had more fear than I had in many, many years. And I gravitated, and I started playing the flute. And what that did for me was, it was about breath, and it brought my energy below my heart. Mm-hmm. And each one of us, I believe, has a perfect listening device that sits right about where our heart is. And if our energy can get below that, now I can communicate with God. Now I have opened the channel so God can communicate with me. And it really began to change my life. During COVID, I would spend most days 3 hours in prayer and meditation. And that was a decadent pleasure. It's not something that I do today. I can't. I'm back to running businesses, and I'm caregiver for my parents, and I'm back and forth between two cities, and it's just a lot. I pray and meditate every morning, but I don't get that 3 hours of decadent pleasure. I did the other morning. I had like 2 hours and I got my flute out, and it was so, I mean, there's just something so amazing when I get to spend that kind of time. That's just God and I. And that used to be what I was so afraid of for so many years, because I had a firing squad, not just a committee that was up here. And if I would get still, it was busy. And that's what I would hear, because I didn't know how to get still long enough to get my energy below that clamor. I believe that when I pray and meditate, and I'd like to read the rest of this paragraph. It's the last paragraph in the 12 and 12 on step 11. And it says, we no longer live in, after it says, perhaps one of the greatest rewards of meditation and prayer is a sense of belonging that comes to us. We no longer live in a completely hostile world. We're no longer lost and frightened. See, these are promises. These are AA promises. We're no longer lost and frightened and purposeless. The moment we catch even a glimpse of God's will, the moment we begin to see truth, justice, and love as the real and eternal things in life, we're no longer deeply disturbed by all the seemingly evidence to the contrary that surrounds us in purely human affairs. We know that God lovingly watches over us. We know that when we turn to him, all will be well with us here and hereafter. So it's back to that promise in the big book of, we'll lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and even the hereafter, right? And in the big book, it says we've been reborn. And so when I can take this time and get connected with Creator, all right, and it's like now, no matter what's happening in the world, and for most of us, the world's just a little upside down a lot these days. And there's a lot of influences. If I turn on the news, I cannot watch more news than I spend sitting still with God. Because what I feed the most will win. And if I spend more time watching the news, then that's that worldly clamor that it talks about in that paragraph. It's that worldly negativity, But if I spend more time with God, then I can properly armed to deal with the world without it owning and defining me. And that's what I think that sense of belonging comes. So it means that even when you believe quite differently than me, which often you will, it means that I can still feel like I belong with you. When I first started praying and meditating, it happened on a Harley Davidson. I was in early recovery and I vibrated a lot, and I'd get on that Harley and it vibrated more than me. It was louder than all that noise in my head. And that was and then I rode with all these sober bikers, and that was my first sense of belonging. But it also differentiated us because it didn't give me a sense of belonging for the whole world. It gave me a sense of belonging in a pack, and it was the most belonging I had ever known. And so, but then we would go in and we would be in all of our leather, and we would separate ourselves from others with our whole personas and whatnot. And so today, my sense of belonging doesn't separate me from anybody. So it's grown. That was a start, and it was beautiful back then, and it was what I needed back then. But I had to keep growing along spiritual lines. So what does that look like now? What does connecting with God look like now? On a Harley, I can connect on a Harley. I can connect in a boat. I can connect here sitting in my recliner. I can connect with God anywhere. All I have to do is want to. And that's always been true. I just had so much fear. But anyway, if I spend the time in the morning to connect with God, there is a God shield that protects me from all this crazy world, that protects me from the fear of this crazy world, because it's really not the world. The world hasn't done anything to me. I don't know about anybody that if you have been in an upheaval about any politics from any side in the last decade. But I don't care which side you're on. You've probably been affected one way or the other remotely, right? No, none of those politics have affected me at all, right? It's like they haven't affected me. My fear of them have affected me. And so what happens is when I connect with Creator, the fear doesn't define it. It does know me. I'm unaffected. I know I'm unaffected. I hope I'm making sense. I'm really tired. But it's like, that's what this does. Prayer and meditation just makes us the same. I love where it says in this paragraph that truth, love, and justice are the only things real or eternal in this life. And one of the things that came up in our group tonight was like legacy. Like, how do you, like if you don't have children, what's your legacy? Or, what's your legacy? And it's like, well, truth, love, and justice, that's our legacy. It's like material things are not my legacy. I have some material things. That is not my legacy. That'll be long lost and forgot or spent by somebody else within a few years after I die, I promise. But the seeds I sow of love and justice, the things that are real, those things, they're forever. They're eternal. And, I had the great experience of being sober and almost dying. I had a highway motorcycle accident and I got drove over by a car. It's a long story, but I lost everything sober and I almost died. I'm laying on the highway and I can't breathe. My ribs had gone through my lungs and I had a near-death experience. And I'm very lucky for that because what happened was that in that moment, I knew everything that mattered. And it's who you've loved and who's loved you, which is what this paragraph is saying. It's like all that's real and all that lasts and all that's forever. It's who do we love? And who loves us? But the truth is, I only feel your love for me when I love you. I never feel so loved when I am looking for you to love me, but I almost always feel loving and a sense of belonging when I do what it talks about in the big book. And I ask in prayer and meditation what I can do for the person who still suffers. And so when I go and try to love you, I feel loved. I feel loved. And I feel a sense of belonging. But if I don't tap into that fear thing that I was talking about, see, fear is the evil corroding thread it talks about in the third step. It is. And that's what this God shield and this prayer meditation probably protects me from more than anything, is it's like fear seeps in. And I don't care how long you've been sober, there are little pieces of it as we face our mortality, as we go through changes, as we face losses of loved ones, as we, whatever it is, it's like there are little elements of fear, things we don't know and we're not guaranteed of. And as I pray and meditate in the morning, there's no room for that fear because I am now connected to my Creator, and that God shield kind of protects me throughout the day. I don't know that I have a lot more to add to this. I would really much rather hear from you all, but I will say this. The sense of belonging happens in the 11th step. The sense of belonging happens because of a connection to my Creator. It does not come because I've earned it. It does not come because I found the right people to hang out with. It doesn't come because people have loved me until I could love myself. Although that's all great. It comes because I have a personal relationship with the Creator, whatever that is for you, that has protected me and insulated me to that there's nothing I don't belong to. I guess I'm going to keep talking for a second. That I was out in California last year and I spent a fair amount of time with the redwoods. and there's actually tree systems on the East Coast that do the same thing. And they're all connected and they talk to each other and they'll send nutrients to each other. If somebody's missing a nutrient, they'll send it to another root system somewhere else. And I'm not trying to be tree huggy with y'all, but it's fascinating to me. And like redwoods are forever. Like you can't really kill them. Like they're forever. And it's kind of cool. And that's what I think we get when we're tapped into the creator. I think we're forever. Our love's forever. I think that the whole truth and love and just all of this is forever. And our love goes on forever, and nothing can really wound us because those are the parts of us. And gosh, I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't know where I'm going with this today, Alice, and I hope you'll forgive me, but it's like, that's the part of us that's immortal. It's the part of us that is immortal. And I realize it when I try to execute on what I think the creator would have me do and be for the day, just today. I don't need to do it tomorrow. I don't need to know what creator would have me do tomorrow. But I know that if I go about thinking about what can I do for you today? How can I be loving and kind? How can I carry this out? Wow, what an amazing life we have. And again, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted, but thank you for having me.
I am still, I'm Alice, and I'm a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I really, really want to thank you, Cyndi, for saying yes. And I want to encourage people to use this time. Cindy's given us a lot of time to, as Teresa says, squeeze more juice out of Cyndi. Like, what a beautiful talk. Pat, you are up first. Come on in.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you for your service. Cyndi, thank you so much. I've heard you before. I'm grateful I haven't heard you in a while, so I'm grateful to hear you tonight. And I was really fascinated when you talked about the flute and your relationship with playing the flute and how that helps you get positioned heart-wise, so that you can widen that path, that process where your creator can come in and communicate with you. And I know you talked about the breathing that's involved playing the flute, but could you just maybe, is there another example you can get? I don't play an instrument, but I can understand the connection between music and playing and breathing and all of that. Can you expand on that just a bit?
Sure. I don't know that the flute was different than the rhythm of my motorcycle. And so I think for me, the flute, like, I think breath is important to deep meditation. I think that getting still, letting things go, particularly my thoughts, because the idea for me of meditation is not to have free thought, but to open a channel so I can hear what God would have me hear. And what the flute helped me with, and by the way, you didn't have to know how to play a single instrument to pick up something like native flute. It will play itself for you. It really will. But it can be that. It can be stacking rock. But it's something for me that I'm focused on an ease of breath. Some of the Eastern meditation practices, they do, and they go to different, and that is a breath and a vibration. So if we think of it as breath or vibration, so there's a vibration. We all operate vibrationally, right? And so I can feel you, right? And I need to, and you guys know, here's some, your crazy vibration. You know what I'm talking about. Like, when you're crazy, right? And that crazy vibration. The idea is whatever it takes to get that vibration to hear. And it's like, find your flute. Is it a flute? Is it stacking rocks? You know how people can take like these really little rocks and have a big rock sitting on top of it? Like, it's like that's a really cool practice. And it's like, I don't know what your practice is, but I believe that if you want something that will get your breathing below your heart and you just seek, God shows up for us and shows us what will work for us, And it's like sometimes I've got a big waterfall out here on my patio in Louisville, and that alone, like there's something that just makes me breathe, take a deep breath, and immediately my energy falls below my shoulders. But, I did a lot of prison work for a long time, a lot of corrections work in AA, and I love being in prison as long as I don't have to stay today. But I've watched guys there be able to do this, right? With all the noise and all the crazy, and be able to get their energy below their hearts. And it's just important. It's not a thinking exercise. It's a feeling exercise. And for me, what the flute did is it just forced me to feel, because I didn't know how to play it. And I had to try to tune in so it could play itself.
Beautiful.
I don't know if that answered your question, but tried.
Thank you, Cyndi. Marissa, I love that you have your hand up. Please come in.
Hi, everyone. Marissa May, alcoholic. Thank you so much, Cyndi, for coming and sharing tonight. I really was intrigued when you talked about belonging to a pack when you first were writing and getting sober, in comparison to belonging in all places. And I'm just wondering if you could share how you realized that you were seeking more belonging, or when that came, and you could share your experience on that, please.
Sure. I was seeking more creator. So in other words, I got more belonging by seeking more creator, but it wasn't my focus wasn't on how can I have more belonging with the whole world. It was how can I be closer to creator. And, and I'm a seeker. I read a lot. I have tons and tons of spiritual books, and I'm a seeker. And so, by seeking to become closer to what God would have me do and be, then naturally this sense of greater belonging has happened. And in the beginning, I was a hybrid. It was the best I could do, but I was still self-willing and trying to keep myself safe. I did not have the level of trust with my creator that I have today. And so as this relationship's developed through the years, and it happens by wanting it to. I know that sounds so simple, but it's true. If you want your relationship with your creator to grow, it's going to. It just will. Not perfectly, very awkwardly, sometimes very painfully, but it will grow. And the thing that I encourage everybody to do is, if you're 50 years sober, don't stop. Don't think you have all there is. I don't have all there is. Like and I'm too greedy. And I've learned the closer that I get to my creator, it's just like, I didn't even want peace when I got here. I did not see that as a promise. I saw peace as boring. I didn't, because I'd never known it. And it's like, once I've gotten a little taste of peace, there's nothing greater. There's nothing greater. I don't know if that answered either, but keep trying.
Guys, we have plenty of time for questions. Please do put your hand up. Cyndi's given us a lot to provoke our thinking. My friend Mary. Mary, please come in with your question.
Hey, thank you, Alice. Thank you, Cyndi. Great talk, great share. So I'm going to go there with the topic of the noise. The noise, the all the stuff. I'm a and I get sucked. And you're talking about and emotion, and this is clearly an emotional response when I have to stop and check myself and use my thought processes, right? But sometimes I get there. I'm in this place where, I'm a retired state trooper. I'm an actor. I'm somebody who I'm supposed to insert myself into situations. And I'm just wondering what you do when you're in a situation where you see a wrong or, and I know there's this part of me that knows I'm not supposed to act, because if I'm bringing God into it, I can't blow it up. But there's that part of me. Is there a thing you do? Is there a place you go? Are there prayers you say? I can get sucked into stuff. And all of a sudden I realize there I am. And I don't want to be, and it is emotional. And the one thing I do is, where are you, God? Where are you, God?
Well, I'll tell you a couple little stories. So my biggest defect of character in recent years is, and it's one that really just became apparent to me from being on a committee. If you want to test everything, get on a committee. But if I perceive somebody as bullying, there's something inside of me from long ago. It's an old idea that thinks I have to rise up and protect the people being bullied. And it is not my job. It means I don't trust God. It means I don't trust God if I have to be that. Now, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be there for people, and that doesn't mean I should watch somebody get the crap beat out of them in front of me and not try to intervene in some way or something. But my instinct was gone awry, and if somebody's pushing somebody around, I'll push them around. So now I'm the bully of the bully, right? That's no good. But in terms of the worldly stuff, like if you're talking about like, and I and you were cutting out a little bit, Mary, but if you're talking about the politics and all of that kind of stuff that everybody on every side is in an uproar about these days. And for me, and I've had to work really hard to be where I am right now. Where I am right now is in a really super good space with all of this. Is I have an employer named God. I have a creator that is, I trust. And I don't know and I don't understand a lot of things. I don't. But what I do know is that for me, I finally really, really believe where the big book says we cease fighting anything or anyone. I really believe that I am the most useful to everybody when I'm not fighting anybody. And when I don't insert opinions unless asked. See, I always used to think everybody needed to know my opinion, and I thought I needed an opinion on everything. And I don't have all the information, right? I don't have all the facts. I don't know. So I influence what I can. I'm a really good neighbor. I watch out for my neighbors. And we've been caregivers for our neighbors. We've done all kinds of cool things that I'm really feel good about. And, every spiritual, every religion, every line of spirituality has a parable of some kind, and every, the Easterns believe it's like two dogs, and Native Americans believe it's a black and a white horse, and whatever it is. But we all have two things that live inside of us. And if you say to the chief, which horse will win, the black horse or the white horse? And the chief will say, the one that you feed. And it's the same in China. They say, which dog will win? They'll fight the one you feed. And so that's just what I was kind of getting at about watching the news and stuff. I really have to limit the amount of time I spend on anything that disturbs me, right? Because me disturbed can't be of service. I want to be informed. So most of what I do, because I want to be socially and civically responsible. So I watch a little, not very much, and I read some, but I don't really want my energy. That's where that whole thing it said in this paragraph, those things for me aren't true and aren't real. Okay. And I'm going to start getting a little Pollyanna. And if I was talking to my younger self 20 years ago, my younger self would punch me in the face, right? Because it'd be like, what are you talking about? Those things aren't real, but they're really not. It's like, if you look at what everybody was upset about 15 years ago, that, 10, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then if you go back and you read history, which I read a lot, all right, it's like, well, they were all upset about the same things. We think this is the first time. It's not the first time. People have always found reasons to be upset. They've also found reasons to be helpful and loving and kind and good, right? And so the things that I believe are real, the things that really, really matter are love and kindness and courteousness. Those things really matter. And am I doing that? That's where that energy has to go. Not in fighting, but in loving. And if I feel like there is a community that is underserved, because this is one of my big things, because it's with good principle. And if I feel there is a community that's underserved, then I can go serve that community, but I don't need to go fight on their behalf. I can just go serve on their behalf. I can go do something that is loving and kind. And I feel like for me, that's where my creator would have me be and spend my energy. Because when I get riled up over things that are justified, all right, justified resentment, whatever, when I get riled up over things that are justified, I cannot be my best self anywhere. Now I'm grumpy. Now I'm irritable. I'm restless. I'm discontent. So anytime that I'm fighting anything anywhere, it affects everything everywhere. So it's sort of like that belonging thing. And when I'm not fighting anything and I'm just loving and trying to be kind and trying to be courteous, and this is not, I don't do this perfectly. God, anybody that knows me knows how frequently I fail at this. I hope that makes sense. But it's just, what are you going to feed? And what can you do? What can you do that? I want to be for things, not against anything. I want to be for things. I'm for Alice. I'm for Alice. I'm for Teresa. I'm for you, Mary. But I'm not against somebody else in order to be for you. I'm just for you. And that lets me have a level of peace And then that love grows and I get to give more and more and more and more.
What a beautiful answer, Cyndi. I mean, that gave us all something to really think about. Gives me something to talk to you about when you're here. We have Jack that I'm going to invite in, but before we have Jack in, my friend Yuna online has asked for you to please share some of your favorite spiritual texts. What are the things that you would recommend we read?
Oh, golly. Well, I'll go to Ollie, and I both love Rumi a lot. I love Kahil Gibran. I like a lot. Simple things. Jonathan Livingston Seagull. There's so much beauty in that simplicity. Like, it doesn't have to be complex. It's unless you really, really need something to help you go to sleep. The varieties of spiritual experience is very dry, but gosh, what else do I like? I have all these books on Native Americans, and I have all these books on Buddhism, and I have all these Christian books. And I guess what I encourage you to do is read it all and find what seems to you. I like Hugh Prather, way back in the 70s, wrote a book called Notes to Myself. And there's I'm trying to reach a little bit. I really like the book I helped Don get published, Stumbling in the Right Direction. It's really got it's just simple. And I find almost all great truth is simple, and it's real. I encourage you to read the Torah and all the Christian Bibles, even the ones that contradict each other, and to read things from every religion. But for me, it's the little things. There was a meditation book before I could read anything. I was so afraid of God, and before I could read anything religious or anything that was like had that God stuff in it, there was a meditation book called Blues Ain't Nothing But a Good Soul Feeling Bad. And it was just kind and gentle, and there's truth in all these things. And that was written by a guy named Kopp. And Sheldon Kopp wrote a book called, it was very popular, I think, in the 60s. If you see the Buddha in the road, kill him. And that book also has value. And what it basically means is, whether it's me or Alice or anybody else, if you think we have all of your answers, or if we present like we do, don't trust them. Run. Nobody has all of your answers. The only thing that anybody can do is help you find your path to finding your own answers. And that is what that's what that book taught me. Now, understand, you guys, I didn't hardly go to high school, so I got no education. And, I went through somewhat of ninth grade. And so when I talk about all this reading, that's my love of reading and learning, is not because I'm some scholarly person. I'm not. All right.
Cyndi, I'm going to have to disagree with you there, my friend, because all of that reading makes us scholarly. And thank you for sharing. Jack! Come on, Jack. You're up.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name's Jack, and I'm an alcoholic, and this is the first time I've been here to this meeting. A friend of mine invited me, and I think this is great. I love the 11th step. It's my favorite of all. And to hear, Cyndi, your share on this has brought I guess you've opened your heart and shown us this level that, for me, for example, I have a good understanding and knowledge of what it means to be kind, or what it means to be loving, or what it means to be empathetic. And a pretty good relationship with my higher power. But you brought this idea and this concept understanding love from your higher power. And I know that my higher power loves me, but I don't feel it. And you brought it to the point in your share where you have expressed that you can feel this in your relationship with your higher power and that it's eternal and it's real, which I agree with, but it's all up here in the head. And I'm not faulting God at all for that. I just haven't had it happen yet where I've been brought into the being and the experience of love with my higher power. I know it's there. Now, when did it happen for you that it moved from transition from being knowledge to being something that you actually experienced and then really enhanced your relationship with your higher power?
Jack, that's a really great question. I think, like most things, we don't know when it's happening. It's like, then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I feel this. And it's like, we just keep, moving along in that direction and wanting it to happen. And it happens in layers and levels. Like, I felt really close to God after I had that wreck. I did. And then not as much, or I didn't feel it. Maybe I was experiencing it differently, but I think I felt as much as I was capable of. And then what happens is for me, I keep working and growing and seeking, and my capacity changes. And then all of a sudden it feels different. And oh, wow, and so I'm at another, oh, wow place. Like, oh, wow, who knew? Who knew it could be like that? I didn't know. And boy, would I have shortchanged myself if at 20 years sober, I've been like, this is as good as it gets. This is as good as it gets. But I have persistently and consistently kept at least trying. And then every so many years, all of a sudden, holy moly, how did I know that I was going to be God's favorite?
Yeah. Jack, we hope that you come back. We're here every Tuesday. Every Tuesday we have a new speaker that talks about their experience with the 11th step. I'm not sure it ever gets better than Cyndi, but come on back and join us. My friend Lana, well, actually, Cyndi's friend Lana. Come on in, Lana.
Lana's everybody's friend.
That's right. Lana's everybody's friend. Hello, everyone. Lana, alcoholic. And good God, this has been a meeting. And I love that you shared about being a seeker. I love, Cyndi, that you shared about in the past 5 years, you have definitely been catapulted, right, on this journey. My question is, because we are agents, for people, for friends and loved ones who have nothing to do with a 12-step program, I was thinking about the 11th step and how we help them get their hands into God's. And I want to know how you do it, how you practice that, how you give that gift away. Thank you, everyone.
What a great question.
That's a great question. And I have been with my family a lot over the last 11 days. My dad's been in the hospital and with heart issues, and my dad is going to be 86 in August, and my mom's with them. And my mom is a bit self-centered, and she drinks quite a bit, and so what I try to do is not get God in their hands. I try to show God off. And that's one thing my sponsor says all the time. Cyndi, go show God off. And so my transformation is evidence of God to them. And my mom, and I come from this very volatile childhood. My home was, well, it was abusive. There's no other way to say it. And so going through all that forgiveness and being a loving daughter has been, it's really been quite a gift for me, and is really given me a lot of freedom. And my mom went from somebody who was afraid of me, to somebody who says, "Oh, I wish we could talk forever." And I share with her what God has done for me, and not in a preachy way, but just in a, I don't take credit when they give me credit for how different I am or what I do or what I've done. I just let them know I've just been so fortunate, and and as a result of that, I can talk with them about God some. And I read them Don when I'm at the hospital. I read them Don's meditation in the morning. So, you guys want to hear Don's meditation? They're like, yes. So it's like, and then my sister is is an evangelical Christian, and and it's been really neat how we've been able to meet with common language and a little bit different belief system because of you guys, because but my sister had God, but not spirituality, if that makes sense. Like, for a long time, she had a lot of religion, but she didn't have a lot of trust or security in God. And as her husband was dying, our relationship changed. Her relationship to God changed. And she had to do what we have to do in the third step. She had to begin to move into a trust of God. But she trusted me to talk with me about it. I didn't do anything for my sister. I just was a sounding board. And as she expanded her relationship with God within her religion, like, your religion is her religion, and it's been so beautiful because we honor each other's space with it. So, I think that what people really respond to is love, kindness, and courtesy. And I think that if I bring that into all of my affairs, I'm bringing God into it. And then through that, sometimes people will ask you. And so, my sister, who I'm so close with now, but even her 10 days in a row with my closest family member is a lot. You know what I mean? But what we've done is we've stayed courteous and kind and supportive. And that is beautiful. And that is really neat. Now, that's a long time coming. That's just that didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen at 10 years sober, and it didn't happen at 20 years sober. And we weren't even all the way there at 30 years sober. But today, at 39 plus years sober and doing this work for this long, that's where we are. And I can't know what's best for anybody. Lana, I hope I'm saying, I hope my vision for somebody may not be God's vision for them, even if it includes God. And I have to trust God to do that for them, and me just to be my best self, and a better self than my best self around wounded people. Right? Because it's usually people's woundedness that makes me think, God, I wish I could give you God, and I wish you could feel better, and I wish my mom didn't have to drink at night, and then tell me the next morning that, gosh, it's the fiber that's making her be in the bathroom all day. It's like, bless her heart, and it's like, I can just love her and say, I sure do hate that about that fiber, Mom. And then be a safe person who's approachable, so I don't diminish my usefulness down the road.
So, family, we are out of time. Cyndi, one of the things that I absolutely love about the ability to book is my ability to invite the people that I love and share them with the group. So thank you for saying yes to me. Thank you for being here this evening. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Alice.